All right, Adam from Splendid Sports here, joined by Doug. He goes by DKahn on YouTube, DKAHN. And Doug, I discovered your channel pretty recently. I've watched a bunch of your videos. And, with the first few videos I watched, I could pick up some good sarcasm in your videos. And I love sarcasm. And you don't see it all the time in sports card videos. So I was right away very happy. And then with your latest video, if you haven't checked it out, anyone who sees this, if you by chance have not seen Doug's latest video, you have to check it out. It was one of the funniest YouTube videos in general I ever saw. I don't want to give too much of it away, but I would laugh so hard. You know how you laugh so hard where like you can't control it? You're like crying. I swear I was laughing that hard.
That's
So
awesome.
thank you.
I can't see how people react. So I had no idea. That's awesome. That's so cool. Thank you.
Just one part is like the part that I laughed the hardest at was when you came on. You're like, you ever wonder why you're a loser? That was like the peak laugh for me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. The
So
self-help guru. Yep.
yeah, I hope you do more of those from time to time because you're really good at them.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Not everyone agrees, but I did get probably the biggest reception I've gotten in that one. But some people are like, please, old Doug back. We like the card videos. Don't give me this like Jersey Shore guy, please.
Well, I mean, it was just one video. It's not like you're going to do that in every video, but
Yeah. And I did not have Jersey Shore in mind. I'm from the metro area. It's very general New York centric.
I loved it. I loved it. And we are going to do another episode of 3 and 3. So
Mhm.
Doug is going to show 3 of his favorite cards in his collection and tell us why. And then he's going to tell us 3 cards that he wants to hopefully buy in the future. And I'll be able to bring up some images so we can look at them and talk about them. So Doug,
Yep.
over
All
to you.
right. Without further ado, so this, I'll take the wrapping out so we don't get as much glare. But this is, I have to get used to the mirror here. So this is one of my favorite cards of all time. I got shaky hands from coffee, but one of my favorite cards of all time. This 1954 Topps Ted Williams. I love the 1954 set. The 1950s is just kind of like in terms of like, awesome cards to me. The 1950s is just like, it's like an embarrassment of riches. But this card in particular, I guess it's the first year Ted Williams was in a Topps card. He was in twice that year. He was in card number 1 and card number 250, and this is card number 250. So this is the last card of that set. And I just love this card so much. And I love the image of him. I love the pretzel stance that they captured. That's kind of the quintessential Ted Williams stance. And this is just one of my favorite cards of all time. So that would probably be number 1, I think. But with me, it's sort of like with songs. It's like I'm always not sure. Like, is it this one? A new one comes in. It's the flavor of the month. So like I'm always sort of like rotating in. I try to stick with the tried and true here mostly. And then for you're a Ted Williams fan, right? I think you're a big Ted Williams fan, right?
I get asked that a lot because of the name, Splendid.
Right,
And
right.
He's not my favorite. Mantle's my favorite to collect, but I do collect Ted Williams. He is one of my favorite. And I just more than anything, I always thought that the Splendid Splinter nickname was like the coolest nickname ever. So
Yeah.
I just off the head, I was like, Splendid Sports. All right, let's go with that.
Yeah, and so I mean, I've always had respect for Ted Williams, but I would say that in the last 4 years, I think that's kind of like like I did the typical trajectory of like being intensely into sports cards as a kid, getting out of it, but having a loose interest from afar, and then just slowly getting back in until I was like back to like full on obsession like I was a kid. And since then I've been sort of like looking at Ted Williams, his in a more historical perspective, and his stats and advanced stats. the new advanced stats play very well to his career, his batting. It really kind of like highlights, in the moment of like OPS, WAR, and all this, all these stats that are valued more. He's way up there, and I think the argument for like best pure hitter ever in baseball is he's definitely a big one in that discussion.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so uh, so he's captivated me even more over the past 4 years. Um, and then this is another card I have to take the wrapper off of. This is a card that I've always felt was one of the nicest Topps cards. The 1956 Roberto Clemente.
Mm.
Um, so I think this is a good example of it. I think it probably could be a little bit more vivid. But I really, really love this card. And of course, Roberto Clemente, his legacy goes without saying. I don't think I need to rehash that for this community. but yeah, this is my favorite. I know his rookie is the year before. But this is just one of my favorite looking cards of all time. And it happened. And then the added plus is that it's, such a great player and, kind of baseball legend with that, with the goodwill attached to his legacy. It's just awesome. So
And
that,
both of those cards you showed, I think the first one was it a 3.5 SGC or
yeah, the first one's a 3.5 SGC. This one's a 3. So yeah, I'm not getting any higher than that because the prices. But I think that it's pretty good. Looks pretty good for a 3.
That's what I was going to say. John Wade Boggs fan who did the last 3 and 3 with me. That was one of the things we were talking about. Is with vintage, sometimes that three grade
Yeah,
or
yeah,
I mentioned the 4 grade. It's like a perfect sweet spot because you can get
yeah.
a really
It's
nice looking
ideal.
card and you don't have to pay crazy prices for like a 6 or a 7 that in some cases might not even look as good as a 3 or a
Yeah,
4.
yeah. With this one, it was like my main concern. I'm having trouble. Is vivid. Is that it's vivid because some of these cards look a little worn down. This is totally vivid,
Right.
and it's more. It's the centering is good. So it's like 3.5. I mean, this is as good as I care to have it, really. You know. So the third is where I feel like a little bit like the third card is where it's like I'm not sure if I should go flavor of the month, like the new hit song in my mind, or the sort of like the card that I've been thinking about for a while. So I think I'm gonna like cheat a little bit here. So the card the card that's not the flavor of the month card, the card that I've liked for a little bit of time now and had a little bit of time to sink in is this T207 Jack Barry. So Jack Barry was not a Hall of Famer. He was known for being a heady shortstop with the Philadelphia Athletics, with the famous infield that include Eddie Collins and Home Run Baker. He was an excellent defensive shortstop and a clutch player. He he won like 5 World Series championships because he was on amazing teams. He was on like I said, the Philadelphia Athletics, and he was on the Boston Red Sox. Both just good timing. And he became a manager of the Boston Red Sox right before he went to World War One. And when he came back, his job was gone as manager. And then he eventually became a collegiate coach. And he's the all-time winningest collegiate. I don't know if it's just baseball or in general. All-time winningest collegiate coach. He's taught 40 seasons at Holy Cross. So it's like it's really the image that I like, but it's cool that he has a story. This image to me is like artwork. I feel like this is like museum worthy to me. So it's from 2011. So sorry, 1911. So it's like it's just really, really like I did a video on this too. But it's sort of like it's like when I was a kid and I looked at vintage cards and I just couldn't. It was like mind blowing. And I just saw you did I just saw you did a video that you put up today on it, Mickey Mantle,
Oh yeah.
1953 Bowman, and
Yep.
it's kind of like that. So it's kind of like the idea of seeing a card and being blown away that this is like it was like a moment in time that you can hardly comprehend because your like brain is just getting a sense of time and history and these baseball cards and this baseball card being kind of like your link to best representing a moment in the past and getting you feeling like you're in that moment, like transcending you. um, and this card did that for me. This card made me feel like I was like a little bit going back to 1911, and it just is a really special looking card for me. Um, so this is number three, and but I'm also gonna show what is my flavor of the month, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So
And by the way, I've never seen that card. I've never seen that card in my life. So that's you're right. That image is unbelievable.
yeah,
I
yeah,
purposely try not to. I like hide pre-war cards from myself because I know if I start learning more about them, then it's going to be very expensive. And
yeah, yeah.
I already am spending enough money in the hobby, so I'm like maybe saving that for a later time in my life.
I have like I'm like getting my toes into pre-war, but I really look forward to that because it's like there's so much that I don't know that it's awesome. Like it's just there's I just feel like there's so far to go. Like it's always the tip of the iceberg. But this one is a card. This is so I'll show it. So this and you let me know if you think this is from 1951. It's an Italian card from 1951. It was a series they did, Sports Around the World. And who
Can
would
you
you say
tilt
that
it forward just a little? Like
like
yeah.
this?
Yep, perfect. Wow.
So it's an Italian card. It's kind of an outsider's perspective of baseball. So it's almost like an imagined perspective of baseball, which is like kind of surreal and cool. Um, and the hitter is, I'd say, unquestionably Ted Williams.
Right. That's what I
um,
was thinking.
yeah. So this is an Italian card. It's Italian in the back, um, and it's 1951 Liebig, and Liebig was a big European set. It was I think a meat, um, something along the lines of a meat product that also distributed cards. But they have some beautiful cards that I didn't know of until I saw this card. Basically, I had a saved alert for 1951 Ted Williams because I was looking for his Bowman. This card came up, and then I searched for this card um, uh, through Italian vendors, and I found, because it doesn't say Ted Williams on the card anywhere. It just I think it's just widely accepted that it represents him. Um, the Italian vendor didn't even list it as Ted Williams, and or so I bought a blurry lot of this is a 6 card series, Sports Around the World. I bought a blurry lot of raw cards from Italy, that I couldn't really even tell what condition they were in at all. And when it came, this card came, and I was pretty delighted. So this is like my kind of like my flavor of the month card that I'm really excited about because
That is
so
unbelievable.
cool.
And another card I've never seen, and that is just
Wow.
such a cool image. Do you know like how rare that card is? Is it a
There's
time?
12 graded on PSA.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty rare. And this one I'm going to get graded because, uh, the I got it from Italy. I don't, so I just want to know it's authentic.
Right.
So I will get this one graded. Um, but yeah, it's a really rare card, or it's just a card that hasn't been sent into PSA. Uh, Maybe because primarily it's in Italy and just nobody thinks of this as being a Ted Williams card. Um, so that's really cool. So that's my tie for third.
I I can't wait to when you send that in. Obviously, you'll probably do a video on it, I'm sure, but that would be really cool to see the results of that.
Yeah. Oh, and I would also say that I mean I think people will anyway, but I've tried to do some research on this card, and I've come out with limited stuff. I mean, I know this Liebig company had almost 100 years of making cards, and mostly not sports cards, and really cool stuff. But if anyone knows more about like this particular card, I would love to hear about it because I found it hard to find a lot of information on it.
That's like a card that you'd see on a John Mangini video
Exactly. I'm
or a
hoping like
Dave
John Mangini
Jacket
sees this and
66
knows all
video.
about it.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool. All right. And I was going to ask you, because I recently discovered your channel, but how long have you been making YouTube videos, like sports card YouTube videos?
Okay, so I'll give you the backstory. I started making videos when my daughter was born. She's 16. So my initially same. I never changed the channel, which was probably inadvisable. I probably at some point should have made it a baseball card channel, but I sort of didn't know what I was heading for. Um, and then during COVID, me and my kids started doing break videos of cards. So it was sort of like a nice, cool family thing to do during COVID, and we'd record some of them and post some of them. And then around 6 months ago, Vintage Card Steve, who's a channel that I was following, um, I had a lot of dialogue with him, and I actually text him, and he encouraged me to make a video about my vintage cards or my card collection because I'd never done that. So I just started doing that this year, like in the past
Okay.
6 months. So I feel like I'm a newbie. If you look at my channel and it says 16 years old, you might think that I've been doing this for a long, way longer than I have. But I'm pretty new.
I'm pretty new too. I started off doing just kind of like a podcast, and then I eventually moved it over to a podcast and YouTube. But now more, like most of the stuff I watch is on YouTube. So that's what's cool about it is it's just more and more people getting into the YouTube community, and it's
Yeah,
just more content, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I know that.
yeah. Definitely, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's I didn't think I would make a video until I got a little coaxing. But once I did, I realized that like you start connecting with people who like it's like I don't have friends who are baseball card collectors. Like
Me
I'm
either.
like I'm on an island, and the more I talk about it in the house, the more I'm annoying people. You
Well, that's why,
so
honestly, that's the biggest reason why I wanted to start doing these type of videos, where it's just a way to honestly, like we had never talked before. Like every one of these I've done, it was basically the first time I ever talked to the person. So I'm
yeah,
like, just hey, let's jump on and we'll have a little structure around 3 and 3 cards, but
yeah, I
more
love
than
it. I
anything, it's
love
just
this.
talking.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, so let's go. I'm gonna pull in card ladder here, and
Hmm.
then let's look at 3 cards that you hope to buy. Let's see.
Hmm.
Let's pull this up. All right. Now you told me you gave me your list of 3.
Yes.
So I pulled up the first one. Can we start with the night you had the 1953 Bowman color Stan Musial?
I think that makes sense because it's sort of
All
an
right.
order of how realistic it is.
Okay. So just the image here. This one just recently sold. This was a PSA 7, and looks like it sold for $1,300, $1,336. So that's what a card. I love that card.
Yeah, I love the car too, and like kind of like what we were talking about with the Roberto Clemente and Ted Williams. I think I would probably look for like a 3 that
Hmm.
looks way nicer than a 3.
Right.
I recently saw a 4 that looks like it should be a 1.5. So that's at like 150 right now. I think it's closing today, but I don't want that card. But yeah, I think that that's a fairly attainable card. When I compare it to like the 2 cards that I showed earlier, it's roughly in that neighborhood. So yeah, this card I love. I love the image. There's a bunch of Stan Musial cards that I would love to get. This is the one I've been thinking about the longest. Recently, I've been also looking at the 1949 Bowman, which I really love that card too. So I have like that I'm looking into that card as well. But this card, I just love this card. This is like an all-time great.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like you said, I did a Mickey Mantle Monday video where I showed my 53 Bowman color
Yeah,
Mantle card, and yeah, the more I love that set. I love the
I do
53 Bowman
too.
color set. It's just such got cool photos because if you think about like just like I was thinking about Mickey Mantle, his 51 Bowman, it's I love him, but it's like an art card where it's kind of like a cartoon card, and then you get the 52 tops, which is still it's not like an actual photo card. It's kind of like a creative art card, and then you got the 53 tops, which is a art card. So this was
Yeah,
like Mantle. That was like for me like the first almost like real photo card with a great photo.
yeah, yeah. It really, really, definitely. I agree with that. And in great, yeah, just great photography. Have you seen the channel Bowman 53?
Bowman. I think I might have.
So he's collected the entire set of
Oh, okay.
Bowman, 53 Bowman, and he has a bunch of amazing videos about the set, with really great history, and he also has like a really artistic eye for video production. So his videos are awesome. So yeah, if anyone is interested in like learning more or looking at awesome Bowman 53 Bowman cards, I recommend checking that out.
Yeah, and Stan Musial is one of those guys that he was as good, if not better, of a player than a guy like a Mickey Mantle, honestly.
Yeah.
And he
Hmm.
was, by all accounts, a great guy. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
a really nice guy, and so it's you can collect a player like that for a fraction of the cost of a Mickey Mantle or even like a Hank Aaron or a Willie Mays. His
Exactly.
prices are a lot lower, which is really really nice.
Yeah. I totally agree.
All
Yeah.
right,
That.
so what do you want to? Which one did you want to do next?
Uh, um. I would do the Christy Matheson.
All right, so the T205
Yeah,
Christie
because
Mathis.
it's in order of how uh, likely it will ever happen. So
Right.
we're already getting into the realm of kind of unlikely.
Is
Um.
this the one right here?
Yeah, that is it.
All right, you got the gold border. Wow.
Yeah, I love this card. So I recently got the T205 Mordecai Brown card. Um, and the cool thing with them is Mordecai Brown is not nearly as his career is not nearly as impressive as Chrissy Matheson, but the two of them were a big deal in like the early aughts or the turn of the century, and they both they had a bit of a rivalry, like a friendly, like kind of like respectful rivalry. And their very last game was against each other, and it was like a highly promoted game. So I feel like having the Mordecai Brown, which is the cheaper version of the duo, and then this one would be like a nice pair. But I love this card. It's one of my favorite looking pre-war cards.
Yeah, it looks like this one. So this is a nice looking three that just sold August 14th at REA, and it sold for 19 almost $2,000 for a three.
Yeah, yeah. So this is on. These are on, and I mean that I would love to get a card that looked just like that. But I'd settle for less. But it's on the pricey side.
Beautiful card. Again,
Yeah.
these are the cards that I almost don't want to see because I don't want to. I don't. It's like it's too tempting. All right, and then the last one that you gave me, classic card, 1952 tops, Jackie Robinson, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, pull this one up. Should be in the ladder. Let's see. There we go. All right, so let's go to like a PSA 1 or something. Let's just see. All right. Well, this was a pretty beat up version that sold, but with the 52, you got to kind of settle for the beat up versions if
You
you're looking.
definitely do. Yeah.
Wow, what a card!
Yeah, and I recently did a video on a couple of red cards, and one of them was the Mordecai Brown, the T205, that have just prominent red backgrounds, solid red backgrounds, and this is my favorite of them all, like solid red card backgrounds, and I actually had to have a reprint of it. You don't have to zoom in much on this, but it just had to feel like I had it. This was like $1 card, but yeah, I just think this card is so nice looking. It just kind of amazes me, and I think of cards that like if I had it, I would I just wouldn't be able to stop staring at it. But it was hard to pick between this card, you know, for like my high end card, between this card and like a Hank Aaron rookie, in terms of like they're both iconic, like, you know, super iconic images to me. Hank Aaron even more so in terms of being iconic. Um, but yeah, love this.
I'm with you. I love cards that have a bright back, like a background like that. Like I think of like the 48 Leaf set, you know, a card like this where, or even like the Red Heart set. I know I saw a video of yours with
Yeah.
Red Heart,
Oh
you know,
man,
the Stan Musial red
I
background. I
love
mean,
those.
those are just incredible.
That Stan Musial is on my wish list for sure. But I have a long line, but it's
Yeah.
I love that Stan Musial Red Heart. It's so great.
And this one here, yeah, boy, this one has really climbed. Just like pretty much all Jackie Robinson cards. A
Yeah.
PS1 is selling for over $3,000 in this set. Wow.
Right. So this was, you know, I had to check with you in the email. Like, is it okay? Because I don't know that I'll really ever be able to get this card. At least not until my kids are done with college.
Yeah.
But I would love to get it. You know, I honestly don't know what I would go for first, if it was this or the Hank Aaron rookie, because of what the Hank Aaron rookie means to me. But this card I could just stare at for days. It's so
Absolutely.
nice.
All right. So we got one of the things I like to do is see if I could get a recommendation. So again, I'm trying to talk to as many different YouTubers as I can, and maybe do like a 3 and 3 like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Have any channels or any people that you think would want to do something like this?
So I could mention a couple. So I would mention a couple of people who I've connected with, and I know are like really great people to talk with. The first person I connected with in the hobby and who encouraged me to do this was Vintage Card Steve. And then I connected with Dylan, who you've already taken care of from Double D. And then Adam from Vintage Sanctuary. It recently started putting videos out. And then there's Shoebox Legends, Shane from Shoebox Legends. But and then I'm also thinking of, so those are the people that I'm friendly with, who I know, like, I feel like would be down to do this. But I also would love to see Pepino Man. Do you know Pepino Man? I would love to see Pepino Man do this, because I feel like, you know, Pepino Man, there's he's got a lot to offer. He's got a lot to share, and I feel like, you know, putting him in a form where you get a little deeper. I would love to see. I feel like that's a lot of people share on their videos anyway, but he sometimes doesn't. In terms of kind of his, you know, knowledge and his you know, the cards that he has. So I would be super interested to see. I think it's Caesar Pepino Man.
I saw one of his recent videos where I think Double D Dylan sent him a care package or something.
Yeah.
And he's stabbing the package.
Yeah, I love that.
And
it's crazy.
I'm like, man,
it's
I hope
crazy.
you don't damage what's in there. You know, it's just hilarious, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Awesome, perfect. Well, now the other thing I was going to ask you is, do you do any of the card shows? Do you go to the National? Do you meet with any other vintage collectors?
Never have. I know that you haven't either. I've heard you say that.
No.
I've never met another vintage collector in my adult life while I was in, well, you know, that I know of, that I've gotten to connect with in person, which is a little sad. But as a kid, I had my heyday as a kid in that, where I would stay over my friend's house and we'd just trade cards all night long. And I went to card shows as a kid, and got like autographs from players and things like that.
What are the chances that you go to the National in Chicago next year? Percentages? More than zero?
No. More than zero.
More than
yeah.
zero.
But I'd say it's low. Yeah, and because like my daughter's near college age, and like it's like our vacation money. Unless I can really justify taking my family on a vacation to Chicago at the same time, and then me just being like, all right, guys, I'm just going to be gone most of the time. It's a little hard. It's a little hard for me.
What does your
But
daughter think of has your daughter seen your last video?
yes. So my kids are all down for my goofiness. They're like yeah. So that's their favorite video I've ever done. It's probably the only interesting one to them.
I cannot stress enough. If you have not watched this video, please watch it. Abandon everything else and go watch that video.
Yeah, I haven't shown my wife. I'm
No.
afraid to show my. I'm afraid she won't stay with me. But other than that.
Oh man. All right. Well, Doug, we've had this plan for a couple weeks. I'm glad we were able to do this, and I feel like we could talk for a long, long time. So
Oh
hopefully,
yeah, I'd love to.
we'll do more. Let's do more of these.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to, Adam. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm actually honored because I feel like I just kind of stepped in for people like you to kind of embrace me, and I feel really privileged for that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Doug, and I will talk to you soon.
Awesome. Take care.